Hi everyone, Kartik Krishnaiyer here for Beyond the 90. Let's talk a little bit about my article that I posted Friday, which was the product of many months or even longer of thoughts, but was posted when it was posted at a strategic time because I was beginning to get wind of the Tormenta situation, as well as obviously we have this ongoing labor strife in the USL Championship. So the premise of that article was that you have a situation in USL where you have a league HQ that is trying to sell expansion franchises. They are a franchisee or licensee, the USL HQ. They are trying to sell expansion franchises for the reported price of $20 million in the USL Championship, $5 million in USL League One, something similar to $5 million in the USL Super League or Gamebridge Super League. Now you can bundle these if you want to do both the men's and women's side, and you get a discount. But they're doing this at the same time as their own clubs, many of their own clubs, their licensees, their franchises are looking for additional investors, additional partners, people that very well could carry the baton forward for those clubs. Now, you're going to say, hey, Kartik, well, that's what happens in every league, right? In the US. Obviously, there's no expansion in Europe. The Bundesliga is not selling club licenses or selling franchises, or La Liga, they don't do that. Right. There's an open system in those countries. You start at the bottom. You work your way up. It's a meritocracy. USL says they want to do something similar to that. And that might solve it, actually. Let me just preface everything by saying USL, when they introduced Pro REL and the only entry point is League One, that might solve this particular thing. But that is all a concept, not even a plan at this point. It's a concept. It's something they've thrown out publicly. 2028, we're going to do this, but we haven't seen until then. I don't. Dates slip all the time in the lower division ecosystem of the United States, particularly when USL's HQ is involved. So we might be 2038 before it happens. Okay, maybe that's too facetious to say 2038. It could be 2032. Could be a long way off. I'm telling you, this is not easy. And anyone who thinks it's easy, you need to walk in my shoes for a little bit. I'm not trying to pull rank here, but I having been around this lower division scene for close to 2 decades. Yeah, it's not easy. So what exactly did I mean by this? So first off, there are a finite number of people who are going to invest in soccer in this country, investors. There really are. You're going after the same pool of rich people. If you're a multi-billionaire, you're going to buy an MLS club or an NWSL club. If you are a multi-millionaire, by multi-millionaire I mean you have over 100 million, let's say, net worth. You're looking seriously at USL, and you're interested in owning a soccer club. That's the important thing. You're interested in investing in football, soccer, whatever sport you prefer, whatever term you prefer. So here comes USL. So there are existing franchises who want more investment. Let's say, hypothetically, Kevin Noggle does a good job in Sacramento, so let's not pick that one. Let's say, hypothetically, let's just pick a team. San Antonio, the teams that are coming to mind are not the right teams to have this discussion. Let's say you're Travasani in New Mexico, and you want additional investors. And you value your franchise at a certain level because you are one of the signature brands. And I don't want to get into financials of specific clubs, but New Mexico's financials are pretty good. And you're talking to investors to invest in New Mexico United. Take us to that next step. Let's get a stadium. Let's jump that hurdle. Let's make this bigger. And you're in Albuquerque. And USL comes in and says, you know what? You could own your own club in Las Cruces. Because we have created So I don't like what closed leagues in the United States do, which is that they create artificial scarcity and they drive the prices of their franchises up and expansion up because they have those that artificial scarcity. But there's no scarcity at all in USL. Justin Papadakis goes around talking about 70 new teams. Now, I think all of us realistically know there are not going to be 70 new teams. But he has said publicly, we're talking to 70 different ownership groups. So let's say a guy that New Mexico United is talking to decides, I want to, okay, Papadakis, that's great. Yeah, let's put a team in Las Cruces in League One. And then they can have a Jägermeister Cup USL Cup rivalry with El Paso and Albuquerque. They're right between the two cities. There goes a potential investor for New Mexico United or for El Paso. And here comes a new club. Now, if this were Major League Soccer or NWSL, well, then Travasani and the ownership in the other markets will be like, okay, well, we get a cut of that expansion fee. But no, you don't get a cut of the expansion fee in USL. The league keeps the expansion fee. The league office keeps the expansion fee. And then if you get that investor, it's in your franchise agreement. Let's say New Mexico does get that investor. It's something like 8% or 10% go to the league office. So you still have to pay them for the privilege of selling part of your team. And so we have a situation where in Major League Soccer, Vancouver, we've already talked about that a few weeks ago. Vancouver is, in spite of all their success on the pitch, very unfortunate not to be the MLS Cup holders, very unfortunate not to be the CONCACAF winners this past year. They'd be heading to the Club World Cup if they had won CONCACAF. I think they would be heading. I don't know how it works anymore, who gets in the Club World Cup. Like, I noticed Liverpool wasn't in the Club World Cup. I don't know how that happened. But Salzburg was. So I don't know. But Vancouver cannot get a new stadium to replace BC Place locally, and the ownership there, as I know, it's a club I've dealt with, right? Because when I worked in NASL, they were one of our members. They never formally played in our league because we didn't get sanctioned, and by the time we got sanctioned, they were off to MLS. But they were really kind of very instrumental in the breakaway, because some of these issues have existed in USL in perpetuity. So Vancouver was very instrumental in the breakaway from USL to create NASL. So I know some of the people in that organization. They either want to stay here or they want to get out. They want to exit the business. What will happen in MLS in that case? What happened with Chivas USA? MLS bought back the club. They don't have franchises in MLS. They bought back the operator. They bought out the investor, I guess would be the technical term. The operator investor. The way MLS is structured, the MLS is a single entity. These are actually like branches of MLS. It's the Houston branch of the Dynamo is the Houston branch of MLS. Vancouver is the Vancouver branch of MLS. I was walked through this when Columbus was threatening to move to Austin, and I was told, well, you're relocating a franchise. No, we're not. There's no franchises in MLS, I was told by one of their legal counsels. This is just a branch office, like a branch office of any entity, and the employees and the branch will be relocated to Austin. So that's the legal construct. You can scuff at that if you want, but that's the legal construct. Because I kind of did scuff at it. I'm like, this is crazy. This is absurd. And I think they did it because in the state of Ohio, there is a law in the state against relocating, because of what happened with the Cleveland Browns in the 1990s. There's a law against relocating sports teams out of the state. And the Attorney General, Mike DeWine, who's a former U.S. Senator, now is the governor of Ohio, Republican governor. He was hot to trot. He's like, there is no way you're relocating Columbus. And I think that's why they ended up having to give Austin an expansion team instead with the previous Columbus owners, because the state of Ohio was not going to let the team move. But what happens is they buy out the investor. and then they will resell. Now, maybe in the case of Vancouver, they sell to a group in Las Vegas or in Indianapolis. Then that sale gets split 30 ways among the other owners, or 29 ways it would be in this case, right? Because the 30th team would be the team the team affected. So it gets split 29 ways. That's how it works there. How does it work in USL? It doesn't get split. And there's no artificial number. Now, I don't like artificial scarcity. I don't like closed leagues, okay? Let's just get this through everyone's heads. I would prefer USL's model if USL does what they say they're going to do to anything MLS has ever done. And the Don Garber, we're going to stop at 20, so you need to stop. We're going to stop at 24. We're going to stop at 26. This is to create all that artificial scarcity we're talking about. So you think you're the last team, so you throw money at them for the privilege of being the last team, and you're never the last team. But from an investment standpoint, the USL approach is just where, we could have 70 teams, we could have 100 teams. That doesn't serve you as an investor or an operator of a club, of a franchise. It's a franchise in USL, very well. There are only a finite number of people who will invest in these things. And so League HQ is competing against you if you're looking for investors in your club. And they're going to take a cut of your thing if you get an investor. So I believe, I'm not here to defend Steve Malik, okay? He's one of the most controversial figures in U.S. soccer the last decade. Perhaps it is a blessing from just a controversy standpoint that he's exited the men's game. But I believe these issues weighed on Mr. Malik. And he's been through the ringer between NASL and USL. He self-relegated his team. He's threatened to leave NASL. Then he decided to stay. Then he fostered a solution with U.S. Soccer to keep NASL sanctioned. Then he allegedly, according to some people, Rocco Camiso and others, was undercutting NASL. Then he goes to USL. And then he gets a spot on the U.S. Soccer board. Also because he's done U.S. Soccer solid with the North Carolina Courage, relocating that team from Rochester that was on death's door in NWSL. Then Malik undercuts USL completely by self-relegating his team and just plunging the price that USL can ask for expansion teams in the championship. If the value of a championship side, Steve Malik's North Carolina FC, is being in League One, that's it. Right? You undercut the Papadakis' ability to sell franchises. But now Malik is out of the picture. But I firmly believe Steve Malik partly did what he did because he was just tired of all this stuff I'm talking about. The league you're competing with the league. Malik's been trying to get additional investors into the club. I know this. I know he got investors to invest in the Courage who were not interested in North Carolina FC. I know this for a fact based on my reporting. And I know at that point, Steve was like, oh gosh, I'm going to have to devote more time and resources to the men's side, where I'm bleeding cash. Oh gosh, that means I'm going to have to take the team back to the championship to try and get investors. A couple of years back in the championship, they do very well. Had a really good team. I give John Bradford a lot of credit for having a team with a lot of young players that someone who would come through their system really, really did well. But, he couldn't get the investors. So he said, finally, fine, that's it. We're done. I know USL put out a statement. They're applying for D1. Okay. USL HQ press releases become more and more unbelievable by the month. The stuff in them. Maybe we have to cut this short because I have to head out to the Palm Beach United Gate match. Oh, that's right. They're nowhere near kicking a ball, even though we were told they'd be playing by 2025. Or 2026. Maybe they did say 2026, but they're nowhere near kicking a ball. Same thing with Milwaukee. Same thing really with Santa Barbara. Same thing with New Orleans. Same thing with, I don't know about Buffalo. I hear varying things there. Ozark United will start. I'm hearing positive things there. I mean, there are positives. Same thing with Atlanta. That team in Roswell is never going to happen, from what I understand. But they send out press releases. There's a team apparently coming to the western part of Orange County, Ocoee or Winter Garden, Orange County, Florida. I don't think we'll ever see that. Or maybe we'll see it in 2030. So this is the thing. You're competing against your own, if you are USL HQ, you are competing against your own clubs in terms of investment. I've gone on long enough here. I think I've made my point. And because they sell franchises without any cap on franchises, they're undercutting their own owners. But, final point. If USL does do what they say they're going to do with Pro-Rel, and you have to enter at the third division level, and that's where expansion is. It's capped. The numbers are capped at USL Premier and USL League One, USL Championship. Then, okay. Then the value of your asset, the value of your investment in the championship and in Division or Premier Division One goes way up. And then USL would be doing a good job for their franchisees. But at this point, I don't know that that's ever going to happen. It may. They're saying it will. But by 2028, no. 2029, 2030. 2030 maybe is the earliest I think it could actually realistically get started at this moment with where we are. Unless they buy labor peace, which the ball's still in their court. They could buy labor peace in the next few weeks. And then turn the page on some of this other stuff. And then, realistically 2029. 2028 is unrealistic at this point. We're in February of 26. But 29, maybe, if you buy labor peace in the next few weeks.